Verily I say unto you, that God is love, and love is God. For the love of God embraces all of God's creation, and the love of God works in harmony with all of God's creation. Man found not the way to love in God, and man lives in a world without love. For everywhere that man went, he sought not to embrace all of God's creation, nor did man seek to work in harmony with all of God's creation. And God showed man that everywhere he came and he left, he went in a world without love, and he left in a world without love. In every way that man came and walked on earth, so that your God show man that whenever he was not in love, he was never in the heart of God. For God sent man into this life that in all the ways that he may see all of God's creation and marvel at the wonders of God's creation, he would know that God was always proud of all of God's creations, and God loved all of God's creation. Man would have then known that wherever he would be in the world, he would always seek to praise and honor and glorify God, for the works of God are marvelous. God showed man that whenever he did not find a way to love in God, he found every selfish way that showed him that he became more and more distant from the creations of God. And man distanced himself from himself. For man did not know that everyone that is created in the image and likeness of Mother and Father God, everyone is connected. And when man would have found a way to love in God, he would know the connection between him and every one of God's creations that look like him. We have said to you that the whole world went the wrong way. Everyone went the wrong way. And every way that man went in the wrong way, he perished in the wrong way. You must tell the children of God that everywhere that they did not remember how they were gods, they found themselves worshiping those that imitate God, that said to them, "We are gods," that said to them, "We are saviors." God wanted the children of God to know that when they came here from the land of Moab, which is the land of the rising sun, they came as gods. They came as gods. And when they came as gods, they acted like gods. For the children of God knew the way to love in God, and everything that they did in the goodness of God, they did for all that dwelled on earth. They were never able to remember these things because when they lost the divine within themselves, they became like everyone else that dwelled on earth without the image of God in them. And so everywhere on earth, man lived in a world without God. So he lived in a world without love. We have always said unto you, and nothing that man has ever done was ever pleasing to the Father, Mother, Creator gods. Nothing, nothing. And everywhere that man looked at his world, he sees an abomination of all that which he has done that was never pleasing in the sight of your Father and Mother God. We showed man that there was never a time when he turned away from these ways and returned to finding the way to loving God. And without love, man could not have found the way to know your God. And so the whole world went always in the perishing way. And man perished because he had not found love, for he did not find a way to love in God. As God brings this world to a close, God reveals to the children the mysteries of all creation. And we give unto you that in all the ways that you will teach and preach, so will the hidden mysteries of God be made known unto the children. For it is the promise of God that the truth of all things will be known in the period in which God giveth that this world of man comes to an end. And so we say to you, teach them the mysteries of creation, because no man knew how anything was created, nor did man know how he came into being. And everywhere that man looked in this world and saw what he was shown, he did not know that his creation began in the unseen and began to manifest itself bit by bit by bit in the seen. For everywhere that God showed man that he planted a seed, it grew bit by bit by bit into a tree, and it eventually shows what it came from when it reaches the fullness of its revelation to man. And so when we say, I see men as trees walking, God wanted man to know that he too began in the unseen. And he began to reveal himself bit by bit by bit. And in the fullness of his revelation, he demonstrated that he too can start off things from the unseen and wait for them to manifest bit by bit until they become full. And so no man knew how he came into being, because he sought the lower ways of a lower life and could not understand the higher things of a higher life. We say to you that the principle that brings man in and manifests him throughout his seen existence is the principle that works for the children in the unseen. For that which dwells within them is that which departs from the seen, and when it leaves the seen, it transitions to the unseen, so that the children of God may come to know that what they see and term as death is not what it is. It is coming to the fullness of God's purpose and then moving or transitioning to a higher purpose. So that in all the ways this seen world exists to be seen, there is the unseen world that exists that is not seen. So everything exists, both seen and unseen, and they exist in a parallel existence. So no one knows that in all the ways that they were shown, that they began from an unseen to a seen, that there are the ways of the unseen as they are ways of the seen. When the children say, I dreamt this one and I dreamt that one, what they are not understanding is that that which is unseen of them is able to visit its unseen place from whence it came and to where it returns. And there in the unseen realm of unseen things, they are able to make the connection with the unseen. So God says to you, you say to them, that is why you are told you are your own salvation. No one can die for you because no one is of you. And every way that God wanted them to wait to be told that which they had not known, God wanted them to recognize that everything that is in the seen world has its counterpart in the unseen. We have shown them that every unseen thought, when manifests, shows things that are visible, so that all visible things that man sees and man creates began in his unseen and becomes manifest in the seen way. And so all men came into this world without recognizing that the two worlds exist side by side, and that the one world of the unseen is the greater of the two worlds. So when God says to man, what will it profit you to go after all these seen things in the world and to do all the many terrible things you do to receive them? God is saying unto man, do you not know that all these things that you are chasing after, they all reside in you? They all reside in you. And man has seen that man was able to manifest these things from himself and did not know that everyone that walks in the image of man carries within him that propensity to create whatever anyone else has done. And that is all that God wanted man to understand. In telling man you're made in the image and likeness of God, God was saying that there is nothing you cannot do when you are like God, because there's nothing God cannot do. And when man would have recognized all these things, he would have known that he did not have to place a price on anything. He did not have to hoard anything. He did not have to deprive anyone of anything, because everything that exists in all the world, it exists within man in the way of his own sin. There are many mysteries of God that are yet to be known, and these mysteries we give unto you to teach and to preach, so that in all the ways that man comes to the true knowledge of himself, he would have arrived at a true knowledge of God in the world. God give it man that in all the ways that he must turn from all these ways, God give man that he must rediscover the way to God, the way to greatness, and the way to know the way of the unseen. All things come from the God within. All things belong to the God that created the God within. And every way that man did not know why it was told that it was more blessed to give, it is because he did not recognize that in giving he is able to bring forth more and more from within himself, so that in all the ways that he would have been in the abundance of God's prosperity, he would have always have been given to reproduce from himself more and more and more and more. For the more he would give, it is the more he would receive. And the more he would receive, it is the more that he will be able to give. These things we give to you that you teach and preach, so that the children may come to know why you say to them, share what you have with those who do not have. Lift those up who find themselves down. Bring forth the way of likeness of God within you, and reconnect to the oneness of being God within you. For in embracing each other, you begin to recognize that the love of God is a conquering love. For nothing that comes within the view of love can ever, ever overcome love. Because love is the key that opens the doors to the greatness and might and power that was God given to the indwelling spirit. And when you find love, you will find the Spirit of God that manifests within you. In the heart of God are all the sacred treasures of God. And we give you the heart of God, that from your heart flows the sacred mysteries of God that carry within them the sacred knowledge of God the Father and God the Mother, creators of all things, and the might and power in everything.